Sam speaking.
Mark?
Sherry, I'm going to have you read this letter. Just read it nice and slow. Just take your time.
This here is a letter Brian wrote to me back in October of 1989. Dear Sherry, hi. It is very hard to write this letter to you. I am very sorry for the crimes they say I committed. If I did do this, there had to be a lot of things going crazy in my head. Sherry, no matter what happened or who did it, I want you to know that I am still your brother and I love you. You can hate my guts and want me dead all you want, but I love you. You're all I have left, and I don't want to lose you. Please accept me as a human and not an animal. Take care. Love always and forever, your brother, Brian T. Britton. This letter basically, it means nothing because he doesn't admit to anything. No remorse, no I'm sorry that I did this. I live every day without people I cared about, without having them around. You have no sense of remorse. You've never shed a tear. You won't even admit that you did do it. Things must have been crazy in my head. You try to put the blame on something else, and it's like you can't even admit what you did. And you want freedom? Guys, I'm loving this just so much. Not a day goes by that I don't think of you. I wish that you were here without you. When I go to the cemetery, it reminds me that this is what I've lost. I'd do anything just to have them here for a hug or a kiss, to tell them I love them. It's like I would give anything to even hear their voices. I can't get that back, because Brian took everything away from me. Things just slowly were spiraling with him. Looking back at it now, there's all kinds of, signs. Back then, it was just like, you didn't really think of it. This is where I grew up from the age of 7 to 19. We had good times here. We jumped rope and rode our bikes around the yard. My father would barbecue out there over by the tree. And then my cousin Tammy and I, we would sit on the side of the house, listen to music and sunbathe. And then Jason would come out and run around. Brian, he usually would play with the boys across the street because Jason was little. When Brian was younger, Brian was the sweetest kid, always doing little boy things. He would ride his bike around the neighborhood. He had his little Matchbox cars, and he just was your normal little boy. But Brian could be selfish at times. My dad would play different board games with Jason, and Brian would be like, hey Dad, let's do this or let's do that. It was just like he had to have my father's attention instead of Jason. he was insistent. Brian would be relentless on it, and my father would be just like, okay, Jason, we'll play another time. It's almost like he's missing something. Common sense, concern, respect for other people. If it's not about him, he doesn't care. Here he's got life in his eyes. It's just amazing that someone so sweet and innocent here could be so cold and calculating years later. You'd have never thought that. Growing up, me and Brian, we didn't always get along. Normal sibling rivalries. Sometimes we got along great. Then there were times we would fight. He had this thing with camouflage. He loved his camouflage jeans, his camouflage jacket. So I would make fun of him wearing it. And he didn't like it, so he would punch me. And I kept teasing him more, and he would punch me more. But then he doesn't stop hitting me. He wouldn't listen to me just saying, hey, stop, that hurts. The only way I could stop him would be to kick him. Because now he's in pain. Somebody's saying, hey, stop, that hurts. You would normally stop unless you just don't care. He didn't care if he hit his sister. When he hit like the 13 to 16 years, he started doing like things that were rebellious. They started out like as little small things, and then it was like each step was like one step worse than the last one. When I was going on 17, I got my first job, and we used to get paid in cash. On Fridays, I would put it on my mom's dresser to put into my account when she went to work on Monday. Well, there were times my mom would go to do my deposit for me, and monies were missing out of it. It was obvious it was Brian because Brian didn't have a job, and Brian's getting things.
Hey, did you take any money from Mom's drawer?
No.
It's like, wait a second, I was missing $20 out of my deposit this week. That magazine subscription's $20. Okay, so that's where the money's going. I thought it was pretty low that he was stealing from his own family. It's like family usually helps each other out. It's like that didn't matter to him.
Are you sure? I thought I saw it there earlier today.
I haven't seen your money.
But I just let it slide.
Anything else?
It was not worth a blowout fight. It was kind of like, let's pick and choose our battles. It's just a phase he's going through. I'd say he had to be around 15 or so when he started the obsession with the war movies. There's never a time that it really struck me as not being normal, but he had a plan. It scares me to know that there was this much hatred in him, and I really didn't see this in him. Evil, it does exist in this world. It's not like the evil you see in the scary movies. Here you have your typical all-American blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy, and there's evil. Nobody knows that. It makes me wonder what went wrong. He was obsessed with like the war movies and stuff that were coming out.
You're watching this again?
My father and brother would sit there and they'd watch the different shows on TV, but Brian got obsessed with it. He'd watch them over and over again. He was always talking about how he wanted to join the Marines when he got old enough. This is what I want to do in life. I felt the military would be a good choice for him because there he would learn more discipline. It's like, hey, he's interested in something. This is a good thing. In his room, he had all different kinds of military magazines. He had other military-type posters. He was collecting hand grenades and bullets, gun mags. Just about everything he owned was either camouflage or having to do in some way, shape, or form with the military. We didn't really see anything wrong with him ordering stuff that had to do with the military. After all, that's what he wants to do. My father would go hunting with my Uncle Barry. So having the guns in the house would be a natural thing, being a hunting family. They didn't feel that they had to put them somewhere and lock them up because there was no fear that anything would happen.
So raise up, make sure you've got the gun stock against your shoulder.
My father taught him on the back porch how to use the gun.
Line that sight up there. That gun stock's firmly against the shoulder, okay?
The rule was, you don't touch them unless I'm home. And then, and only then, I give you permission to do so, and it's done in a safe environment.
Remember, don't put your finger on the trigger until you're ready for the kill shot.
My father was teaching him how to use the shotguns and stuff right up on the porch here. And they used to have targets down where those sheds are. Never would have thought that he's teaching his son how to use the gun properly, and his son's going to do what he did in a few years to come. I don't think he would have ever taught him how to use it properly if he had figured Brian would do something like that. He went through this phase where he was interested in the Chinese throwing stars, the nunchucks and stuff like that. He used to think it was fun to just throw them at the wood paneling in the living room. And it just got to the point where my parents were like, "What are you doing?"
Brian.
But he just had blatant disregard for that.
You can't keep doing that. Now give it to me.
We take him away from him, he gets another one from somebody. I tell him no, he does what he wants. We don't understand why he's not listening to us. There was an atmosphere of worry. I think they were looking at the big picture of if they kept on him just long enough for him to graduate. Once they got him there, he would be learning respect. The things that he was doing to my parents, the military wouldn't put up with. At 19, you don't expect to wake up and and have your world destroyed. Growing up, once we started dating, we had rules that our education was more important than seeing our boyfriend or girlfriend. Like, we could see them one day a week. Usually it was like on weekends, since there was homework and stuff during the week.
It sucks. The worst.
I had no issues with it. It was like, okay, it's understandable. Education comes first. Brian didn't agree with that. It was his very first girlfriend. Any waking moment he was up, he wanted to be spending time with her. And he didn't like being told what he could and couldn't do.
Honey, could you excuse us? I need to speak to Brian.
Why do you always have to ruin everything?
I just think you should be spending a little less time together.
He would start raising his voice.
I can hang out with whoever I want to hang out with. It's my decision to make, not yours.
You can't tell me that I can't see my girlfriend. I'm a teenager. I can do what I want.
I keep explaining this stuff to you.
I hate you. I wish you were dead.
How stupid are you?
And he'd just walk off and go to his room.
Why don't you just die?
Looking through my 19-year-old eyes, it just seemed like normal teen stuff. Normal teen angst, rebellion. Looking back now, I see things with what he did as like a downward spiral. If he wanted his way, he was just going to keep going at it. It didn't matter how many times you said no. It would be a never-ending battle. They were just trying and trying, feeling helpless because everything they're trying didn't work.
He'll grow out of it. He has to.
What if he doesn't?
His obsessions were just military and his girlfriend, and it was like his family that... January 22nd of 89. That day, his girlfriend had come up to the house with him and brought up vodka to the house.
That's crazy.
Well, let me just chug a bottle of vodka and see what happens to me. Then he said he felt funny and he passed out.
Wake up!
His girlfriend called my father at work. My father took Brian to the hospital. He ended up having his stomach pumped from the alcohol. And had my father not come home, there's a possibility that Brian could have died. I wish I could go back in time and know what I know now to prevent my father from saving his life that day. If Brian had died, yeah, we would have been all upset, but he doesn't deserve to live with what he has done. I know that's not a nice thing to say. I've been told that I should forgive him by people. I can't forgive. It was March 20th of 89, my grandparents' 45th wedding anniversary. Everybody's going.
Come on, Brian. Get changed. We're going. I'm not going.
Your grandparents will want to see you.
I said I'm not going.
He wanted to see his girlfriend. Didn't matter that it was his grandmother's anniversary, that everybody's going to be there.
Brian, it's their wedding anniversary.
I don't care.
Family to him didn't mean anything anymore. It's almost like it's a bother to him that he has family that he could do things with. Everything was perfect. My dad picked me up at college around 9 o'clock. I think my class was over. My mom was all happy, showered and called my boyfriend, talked to him for a while, and went to bed. When I woke up in the hospital, it's like, wait, this isn't my bedroom. Where am I? I had a very bad headache, and there was ringing in my ears. I touched my head and realized there was bandaging on there, and I'm hooked to machinery, and I have a gaping hole in my side, and I have stitches all over, and I'm just like, okay, what happened? There were doctors, and all they would tell me at first was there was an accident. What kind of accident? Couldn't have been an auto accident because I went to bed. Where's Mommy? Where's Daddy? Where's Jason? Not once did I ask about Brian. It's like my mind knew that he did something, even though I didn't remember what happened. But what? It's scary seeing this, knowing that I was that close to losing my life. It's a scary thought. It's a scary feeling waking up in the hospital and realizing that you're injured and you have no idea how you were injured. Every time I woke up, the same thought would come to my mind. Oh, I'm just dreaming. This can't be real. This stuff doesn't happen in real life. I'm in the hospital, hooked up to tons of machines. And every time I would wake up and I asked about my mom, my dad, my little brother Jason.
What's going on?
If I'm in the hospital, where are they? Why aren't they in the room with me?
Where's my mom and dad?
Nobody could explain to me what happened because they themselves didn't know.
Why wouldn't you tell me what's going on?
I did 32 years in that police department, and I've seen a lot of really nasty things, but I will never forget that morning. And I can say this to you, I don't think you could ever prepare yourself going through that door for what you were going to find. It was a horrific crime scene. I mean, there was blood all over that place. As soon as we opened the door, we saw the blood and the hair and the bone embedded in the wall. Something terrible has happened here. We really did not know if there was an active shooter in that house, and we had to assume that there was. We go up the stairs and look to the right, which was the mom and dad's bedroom, and he's still in bed. Been shot in the face and shot in the chest. When you walk out of that room, we looked directly across the hall, and on the floor was Brian's mom. She's obviously deceased. We found Jason next to his mom, and his head was almost crushed. He decided he would use the shotgun as a club, and he did. He used it on his brother's head. We walk a little further into the house, and we find Sherry in her bed, covered in blood. She'd been shot twice. One of the shots actually took a part of her skull. She was shot again on the left side in the abdomen. We weren't sure she was going to survive. And we got her out of there as fast as we could. She is so fortunate to be alive today. Brian was the only survivor that we could talk to, so we talked to him right away. He's saying that somebody forced their way into the house. This is Brian Britton on the day he was arrested, on the day that he killed almost every member in his family. He was sitting in the chair opposite my desk. The officers were interviewing him. He's not showing any remorse. I stood there and listened to him for about 2 minutes. I said, Brian, Sherry's alive. You talked to her. Where did you put the guns? And he immediately said they're in the attic. And that's where they were found. He goes on to try and justify what he had done, telling us about the problems with his mother. And his mother was always on his case and wouldn't let him see his girlfriend and wouldn't let him stay out at night and insisted that he go to school. So he was trying to justify his actions. But there was no way you could justify what he just did.
I kept thinking, oh, I'm in a bad dream, a really bad dream. This isn't real. I have nothing left. I lost my world. Now what happens to me? Here I am, 19, no place to go. My home is no longer my home. Mom and Dad are gone, Jason's gone. I felt very lonely. Sometimes I wished I had died, and I was always like, why was I the one who survived? Why me? Why couldn't my mom survive? Why couldn't my dad have survived? Why didn't Jason live? Why was I the lucky one? There's so many things that have happened in my life since then. To miss me graduating college. When I married my father, I didn't have my father to give me away. They didn't get to have the joys of their daughter getting married, having grandchildren. It's not the same going down to the cemetery and talking to the headstone, telling them that you love them. I would give anything anybody wanted, to even hear their voices, just to hear my dad laugh one last time, to hear Jason ask for cookies. Sometimes I wish I still had the answering machine. My mother had done the voice on it, just to hear her voice. I still fully don't understand the why. That's always been the big, huge question. And it's never been answered. I don't remember anything from the time I went to bed on March 21st until whenever I woke up in the hospital. The whole thing is just a big blank. There's a lot of stuff that I probably saw that morning. It's somewhere locked up in here somewhere. Where, I don't know.
Well, here we start with the video. It's the front of your house as it looked that day.
I could handle it, but I want everyone in the world to know what a monster he is. That's just too horrific. That's really scary.
Sherry?
Hi.
How are you?
Okay, how are you?
you. I really am. Come on,
Yeah,
go in.
okay.
Well, here we start with the video. It's at the front of your house as it looked that day. And as we entered your home, up the stairs to the right to your dad's room, he shot your father first because he could find was probably the only one in the house that could stop him. Your dad was still in the bed. He was deceased. He had two obvious wounds. And your mother came out of the kitchen screaming, and he shot her. Fired from the hallway at Jason, but did not kill him instantly. Jason was able to get up and go out into the living room and lay down by your mom.
Was very shocking. There were things I found out that I didn't know happened. I had gotten up from where I had been shot and went back to my bedroom. I didn't know that I had made a stop in the bathroom. I never knew that. I guess I felt comfortable in my bed, so I just went back to my room for comfort.
Yeah. And that's basically what we had at that point. You were still alive. And so we immediately got you out of the house and started treating you and took you to the hospital. He told everybody that he had issues with your mother because of his girlfriend and that she was disciplining him all the time for getting home late and stuff like that. And in my estimation, it was premeditated. He thought about this before he did it. And I think he thought about it for a while. I don't think it just was a spur-of-the-moment thing that night. I don't believe that at all.
Realizing it's your own brother who did this, that's just too horrific. After having talked to the detective yesterday and seeing the pictures, it's like now I have the hard, true facts of what happened that day. I've seen now they didn't even have a chance. They were defenseless. It makes me feel a little more at ease knowing what actually did happen, not just what people were telling me. It's amazing I'm still alive. Every 2 years, Brian has a parole hearing. Every 2 years, I fight to keep him in prison. Every 2 years, I have to relive the nightmare of that day. I must write a letter to explain to the parole board this is why he shouldn't get out. To whom it may concern, I have been notified that Brian is up for parole again. As the sole surviving victim, I am writing this letter to ask that his parole be denied a second time. 26 and a half years have passed since the murders took place. What has Brian done in these past 26 and a half years to prepare him for life outside of prison and snap and kill someone else? Why should I be forced to be fearful for the rest of my life, worrying that Brian may attack me or my children and loved ones? It never ends for me. Every year, it's not fair that I have to keep reliving this. But I'm doing it to help keep Brian in prison because he doesn't deserve freedom. He killed 3 people, one an innocent child who didn't even have the beginnings of a life. And he has not shown remorse. The hurt from what he did, it never goes away. It stays right here. That's why the tattoo is right by my heart. Because that's where my parents and brothers stay. They're always in my heart, always in my thoughts. Brian, you got the easy sentence. The people on the outside are the ones that are suffering. And the only way that it will end is if he dies in prison.